Kristina Perez, the author of the Sweet Black Waves trilogy, and I'm excited to be talking to WordNerds today a little bit about how I incorporate actual historical events and locations into the fantasy world of the Sweet Black Waves trilogy, and give a little insight into how you can create your own historical fantasy space and secondary fantasy worlds. So behind me is Stonehenge, which is on Salisbury Plain in Wiltshire in the United Kingdom. The first stones were erected around 2500 BC, which is the late Neolithic period, and it continued to be built and rearranged into the Bronze Age. All over Salisbury Plain, there are burial mounds from the Bronze Age known as barrows. And so the stones themselves, there are the blue stones, which came all the way from Wales, which would have been quite a feat, like a 12-day journey in the Neolithic period, and also the Saracen stones, which are the really tall standing stones that you see behind me. So in Sweet Black Waves, Stonehenge itself doesn't feature, but I took a lot of the beliefs or what archaeologists think might have been used, Stonehenge might have been used for in terms of religious festivals and ceremonies, and incorporated that into the world. Standing stones obviously are found throughout the British Isles and in continental Europe. We know that they had some kind of spiritual significance because they weren't easily defensible. They don't seem to have any practical purpose. Here at Stonehenge, there is a northeast to southwest axis that lines up with both the winter solstice and the summer solstice. Archaeologists believe that actually it was the winter solstice that was the most important because it marked the shortest day of the year, the longest night of the year, and the beginning of the cold, dark winter period when food would be scarce, when animals might die. And so they believe that the farmers, because it was an agrarian society, would have been trying to look for some kind of peace or sanctuary, perhaps some kinds of sacrifice. We don't really know, but something to get them through the cold, long, dark winters. So in the Sweet Black Waves world, I keep these the solstices that I call the winter solstice long night. And I looked at the wheel of the year, the Celtic wheel of the year, since my world is based on primarily Celtic folklore and mythology. The Celtic peoples were here first before the Anglo-Saxons came to England. And a lot of my books take place in Cornwall, which is in the southwest, which was also Celtic peoples, and of course across the sea in Ireland. But when I created my secondary fantasy world, Ireland became Ivaru and Cornwall became Cerniv. So I think that one of the easiest things to do with actual historical locations and events and beliefs is to take the kernel of what's most important about them and then twist them so that it fits your fantasy world. Everything in world building should always be serving your story's purpose. If it doesn't serve the purpose, then it doesn't need to be there. And of course, you should know a lot more about your world than ever appears on the page, but even so, everything should have the implication for your character and their journey for the overarching plot. So with Stonehenge, the blue stones from Wales are believed, or archaeologists believe, that there was some kind of healing principle associated with them. And so that's something that I've also taken into the Sweet Black Waves world, because my main character, Branwen, we discover that she has magical healing powers that are connected to the land and the gods of the land. But the gods have their own plans that don't necessarily align with what she wants. And I incorporate her sort of, going to places like Stonehenge, transferring into the other world where there are also kind of stone circles and other sort of healing areas that are circular in nature. So I think that, rather than trying to, really transpose brick by brick, so to speak, an actual event or a location, you can just take what is the most important threads of it and then use that to build the tapestry for your world. And a little bit further away, there's Old Sarum on this plain as well, which was another location that served as inspiration for the Sweet Black Waves world. It has an ancient hill fort, and hill forts were more more of an Iron Age invention. And in my Black Waves world, I have lots of different defensible hill forts. So it's sometimes just taking the basic bones of what was real and then incorporating it into your world is the best way to go. All right, thanks very much for joining me. And I hope that you will pick up the conclusion to Sweet Black Waves, which is Bright Raven Skies, and it comes out on August 25th, 2020.